Welcome to the Southern Oracle. This is Shade, and after more than 2 years of absence, I come back with a subject that may be worth making a podcast. Actually, some time ago, I had a conversation about the proof of life. The proof of life. And the difference was that some people are talking about that there are living beings in other dimensions, maybe even here on Earth, on other levels of existence. And we have those who are talking about life on other planets. And I don't want to say it got nearly a fight, but a lot of those who absolutely believe that there is life on another planet smirk at those who say that they believe in spirits, in ghosts, in gods or goddesses, in whatever other kind of beings there may be, just because they are invisible to us. So the point, the argument was, first of all, science. Science is giving us proof that there is life on other planets. And that is exactly where I want to pick up the subject to begin with. First of all, what I often hear is that people are telling us that science is something that does this or that. And what they seem to be forgetting is that there is a difference between science and scientists. So I just want to trigger it a bit. If I use the word science, it is as if I'm using the word pagan. Because the moment someone is talking about pagan, they are saying that it is an umbrella word for a lot of directions where you have people who live in different spiritual directions which are not Christian or not in any way Christianized or based on that one God theory. And we are still talking about underneath that umbrella are human beings. And even the umbrella term of pagan has been created or used by human beings. It is the same for science. If somebody tries to explain to me that science does this or that, that sounds as if science itself is some conscious being, which is not the case. It is just, and nothing else, an umbrella term for all the researchers that there may be in whatever directions there are. And those scientists are human, which means they come up with the same human capacities and the same human flaws than everybody else in our world. They are not better or worse than whatever person there is. And so, before talking about science and scientists, let us never forget that normally people try to do several things. Actually, they always try to work in their own interest. And I want to use, especially for scientists, interest in both ways of the term. So first of all, it is interest in the way of curiosity, because somebody who is curious concerning plants will most definitely, if he has the option, go into that direction concerning his scientific researches, and he's not going into maybe minerals or the universe. He tries at least to get this direction and to start searching and making research on and towards the plants and the flora of our world. The same way it also has the word of interest in the gaining interest in the way of what's in for me. Because the person tries to gain his or her life, and this is something that is absolutely clear. So a person who needs to fill his fridge will maybe, at least even if he tries to stay in the curiosity interest of going into the direction he wants to go, in that direction itself, he will try to go into the direction that gains him the money needed on our world. Everything clear so far? So let me go on. Now I was asking a very simple question, and that was the moment that people stopped talking. Because I was simply asking, if I take the way of scientifics, how they work and how they also definitely sometimes must work. The money that flows into the different directions of science is more money spent in trying to prove that there is life on another planet, or is more money spent in the proof concerning that there is life in another dimension? And the first reaction I got was not an answer to my question itself, because it was, well, we are trying to work with what we have, and there are more machines, there are more techniques to try and find life on another planet than to try and find life in another dimension. For me personally, there is no logic. I always want to go back in in science. In the beginning, when the cow died, then people were talking about it, that the neighbor made some black magic to let my cow die. And later on, when they developed and invented the first possibilities to see viruses, bacteria and so on, they found out that there was a more or less simple explanation for the death of the cow. So just because science, or rather the scientific, have not yet invented other machines that can show us other levels of existence, although I have my fair doubts. I think of a story of some nocturnal lenses that were created and that showed very funny things. I don't want to go further into that. Only if you like, you can come back to me. So there are things, and maybe there have been inventions into that direction, but they have never been made common, so that scientifics could have the option: do I want to find out if there is a life in another dimension, or do I want to go into the direction with the techniques I have to find out if there is a life on another planet? And now comes my big what if, because I love what ifs. And don't get me wrong, what I'm going to do now is not that I'm going to tell you it is like that, but I'm just, what if? So, how long for all this time have we now tried and find out if there is life on another planet? And excuse me if I think that it's a bit, I don't know, if people are telling me that science has already proved that there is life on another planet. We're so far away from it, as long as there is no physical proof of it. How much proof is this really? It is based on theories of scientifics. I don't want to deny those theories, but actually for the moment being, they are not really solid proof. And yes, a lot of science is based on theories, and that's totally okay for me, as long as nobody tries to make out of science either a religion or, on the other side, a sentient being, as they do at one moment when they start saying, science is doing this and this. As I said, science is an umbrella term for premises for the scientifics underneath to do this and this, but it's not the reality itself. It's just a premise to create some kind of reality. So this is the moment that for the moment being we have theories, and maybe the moment the person arrives there, they will see that whatever they have considered to be a proof is something else entirely. But there is another idea I have. And now we are going very far. Some time ago, the idea was, and I don't want to go into the direction it's true or it's not true, but the idea was that there may be a chance that there were or that there are also pyramids on Mars. We have no proof whatsoever concerning the whole thing, but there were theories because they saw through their telescopes, they saw things that may go into that direction, but they never landed on a spot near those images to prove that there are pyramids or no. So I just want to leave this one out for the moment being. But imagine just for a moment that pyramids are really the stargates a lot of people talk about. Then let me ask a very simple question. Who tells us that if we can use the pyramids to enter a stargate and to land on another planet such as Mars? Who tells us that we land in the same dimension that we carry with us when we try to get our view and our body, our material onto a planet like Mars? What if, as long as the studies and the researches of life in another dimensions are completely split off and denied partly by the ones who study and research life on another planet? What if we can only start finding life on another planet when those two work together, when the development, the evolution, the inventions concerning techniques and machineries to see and find out about life in another dimension is exactly what is necessary to find the life we are so desperately searching on a planet like Mars or maybe other planets? I just leave it at that. I leave it open to your imagination. I leave it open to your curiosity. And I wonder how long it will take that maybe a scientific team will team up with the other part and stop fighting each other to say that only that thing is true or whatever. Just leave it open and ask yourself, what if? Thank you for listening.